common sense recap of the day's biggest stories. It's John Catsimatidis and Rita Cosby. Katz and Cosby on 77 WABC.
Well, someone who has spent a bit of time with the President of the United States, had a lot of meetings with him, the former Speaker of the House, the great Kevin McCarthy. Mr. Speaker, once Speaker, always Speaker. We love having you here on the show. It's Rita Cosby. And we have with us Judge Richard Weinberg, Craig Eaton, and also Ed Cox in studio. Your thoughts when you saw the debate, Speaker McCarthy? What was your reaction when he just collapsed in front of all of us mentally?
You know, I have seen him do that personally in different meetings, but I didn't think he would do it there. I mean, when you think about it, 6 days of rest to just practice up at Camp David and prepare. You know, he let the rest of the world do whatever they wanted, and he just focused on that debate while you watch President Trump campaign, travel, raise money, listen to people. I thought Biden would be at a different place, but he has, I think, pretty rapidly descended. And this is something that I've talked about for a long time, but they would ridicule me. I mean, the Wall Street Journal wrote a story I talked to him about. I've talked about this almost a year ago up in New York. And this is really where the family and staff has failed the American people. They have tried to hide this from the American people.
What did you see, Speaker McCarthy? What did you see firsthand? Because I saw somewhere you were kind of recounting where he suddenly drifted off and started bringing you to some, showing you something in the middle of a meeting. What did you sort of see firsthand?
Well, the interesting thing is I've known Biden for a long time and I've worked with him for a long time. When he became president, when I started, every meeting I saw a different Joe Biden. There was certain times that he was really with it. And other times I would see him kind of like that, where he's just whispering. You don't know what he's saying. And most all the time he had cards and he couldn't go into another position. It was always about what the cards said and he'd disrupt. One time he just wasn't really there and just took us on a tour down to the swimming pool. I've just found time and again that it wasn't productive, that I couldn't have negotiations with him. So I had to go talk to staff instead.
Let me ask you the $64 million question. How concerned should America be and the world be?
You know, I left one time really concerned as an American because he was going to go to a G7 or G20 meeting, and I was just hopeful he wasn't going to see any other world leader at that time. And I'll tell you, I've had world leaders call me during this time asking about him and just their interaction with him. So, I mean, it puts America in a much weaker position. But what I'm concerned as you go through this, where is he really in his health? Because the staff has protected him. They're like in shock, like, oh, he had a cold. I'm sorry. Michael Jordan won the championship game 6 with the flu. A cold doesn't do that to you. This is just where he's at. And what I've watched in this White House, and I've been through 4 presidents at the White House, and I've watched how they work. In Joe Biden's White House, it's very quiet, not a lot of happening, not a lot of activity. And now we find out that he just only works from, 11 to 4? Well, the world is at crisis all the time. We need a president prepared to not put a lid on it, but actually make some decisions.
Yeah, no doubt. By the way, you brought up the cold too, because there was a press conference just a little bit ago with Karine Jean-Pierre, and the press I've never seen the press literally there now. Every single question was about his mental state. And then she also conceded he had a cold, but he wasn't on medicine. So it couldn't have been that bad of a cold. And then she said, let's just leave it at that. Ed Cox, you have a question for the former Speaker of the House.
Mr. Speaker, I know that you have visited as Speaker with all the competitive districts that we have coming up in November. What, under the present circumstances, what do you think our chances are of holding on to our majority and even increasing it?
I think we increase it. I think it's easier to win seats this cycle than it was the last 2 cycles. And I got to thank you, Ed, for all the work you have done with redistricting. Otherwise, we wouldn't be in the majority. What we were able to do in New York and California, but we've got a lot of good recruits. I was out there recruiting before I left. We've been able, we're behind a little on money, but I'm trying to help make that difference. I think we're going to pick up seats, and now we're looking after this debate, seats that weren't in the mix. I mean, these are the windows of opportunity. Remember, when Joe Biden won the presidency, it was the first time since 1994 not one Republican incumbent lost. Just put that in perspective. He wins the presidency, they lose, the Republicans lose in the Senate, and we pick up seats. We picked up seats the last two cycles, but I believe this could be our best one yet if we're really prepared and doing the work we need to do, because there will be wind at our back.
Yeah, and by the way, there was a new poll on the flip side about Biden that said that 75% of Americans do not want to see him run again after that debate. So there are a lot of people at this point who saw President Trump much more presidential and able to articulate the message. Mr. Speaker, Craig Eaton has a question.
Mr. Speaker, I chaired the Republican Party here in Brooklyn, and I was one of the vice chairs under Chairman Ed Cox for 10 years. And I admire you for all you've done, and I want to thank you for all you've done for our country, because you've served us well. But, I mean, I just want to touch on the debate. I think that every senator and congressman out there should use snippets from that debate to show why we need to take back the Senate and keep Congress, because we can't afford to lose this country any further.
You're 100% right. If you just take clips from President Biden's debate 4 years ago today, you could see how far he's declined.
Yep.
And just think about every day that's happening. It hurts the entire nation.
Yep.
And this is really a window where Republicans can gain seats and put this country back on its strong footing and put us really in a place that we can secure the border. We can curb inflation, get our economy working again, make our military strong, and the world safer. You know, when he sits there and thinks the border is safe, you wonder, why does he think that? And you look at he couldn't answer the questions, couldn't keep his train of thought when he had practiced for 6 days and done nothing else. That's the best he was able to do.
Yeah, it's frightening. It is really, really scary. And I say that, you know, I want the best for our country. I want our president to be coherent and strong. Judge Weinberg, last question for former Speaker of the House.
Mr. Speaker, good to talk to you again, sir. What concerns me is the first runner-up is Kamala Harris, a fellow Californian. And I'm a New Yorker. I've never been very impressed by her. I haven't seen anybody as more dismal as a vice president than this lady.
By the way, Judge Weinberg, did you see what it just came out? The headline that just came out: Team Kamala fears that Dems will pick a white guy. That's the message they're spinning.
But I want to ask the Speaker, what's your take on her ability to become president of the United States? Does she have the capacity to protect and defend this country?
You know, I would be concerned with her in that job, especially the role she has played as VP. It has not been impressive. I don't think she prepared for it. I don't think the country would get behind her. I mean, I even think at where Joe Biden is today that he has better poll numbers than she does.
Yeah, and boy, is that a sad testament. You are absolutely correct. Well, Mr. Speaker, we love having you here. Are you in Bakersfield? Are you in our old stomping ground?
No, I'm not in Bakersfield, but today I'm in D.C. But yeah, that is our stomping ground where we learned all of our good traits. But I love being on your guys' show as well.
We love having you. Thank you so much, Kevin. Great to have you here, the former Speaker of the House, the great Kevin McCarthy. Thank you, Kevin, so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Really great to have you.